Hey guys, before we get into the video, just want to let you know we had a little bit of video quality issue with Brian. Unfortunately, he's a little laggy in some spots, so his face is going to look a little weird. Didn't want to ask him to re-record, so we're just going to roll with it. So if you're watching on YouTube and you notice Brian's face, I apologize for the lagginess, but we're just decided to roll with what we had. So hope you guys enjoy the preview and pod. Make sure you subscribe, like, leave a review on Spotify. Thanks. Hey guys, welcome back to the Scratch Golf Show. Marco here. We have another great guest, one of the hottest gamblers in golf right now, Mr. Brian Kirschner. Brian, welcome to the Scratch Golf Show, man. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it.
What's up, man? How are you? Glad I could join you on this Monday night. Golf season is coming to an end. Unfortunately, the season went by super quick. I can't believe we have like one more event that we could bet on, but that's unfortunately the case this week.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, man. I feel like this whole year has flown by. Like, I feel like we were just in Hawaii. Now here we are 2 weeks away from wrapping up the FedEx Cup. Again, another great playoffs, although it wasn't so great in Memphis being 120 degrees last week, but a different pod for a different day. Like I said, I can't believe this summer itself has flown by. I feel like we were just at the Rocket Mortgage, which is my hometown event here in Michigan, and that was 7 weeks ago. So it's crazy, but a couple more good weeks to bet on. So let's try and make some money while we can, and that's what we're going to talk about today, because that's kind of what you specialize in. So why don't you just do a quick intro to the people here at the Scratch Golf Show, what you do, who you are, where we can find you on all the socials before we get into the golf talk for today.
Yeah, so I really just am a golf gambling Twitter personality, how I would put it. I post my picks every week on Twitter, usually on Wednesday mornings. I do a pod on Tuesday. It's called Tap and Birdie. We just have a guest on. We go over the odds board, talk about the week before, bullshit around, talk about a lot of different topics. Yeah, and that's really it. I definitely tweet a lot during the tournaments if I have a guy in the mix, or
Yeah.
if I'm tilting something. Like I'm very easy to tweet stuff, so that's a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, I just like and I'm sure you're aware. I think golf is easily the best sport to bet on. You're betting guys at 40 to 1 instead of -110, and it's just a lot
Yeah.
easier to build a bigger bankroll and actually win, like, not life changing money, but like really great gambling money. Where if I wanted to win 4 grand on an NFL game, like I would have to either bet 4 grand on a side or
Right.
hit some insane parlay. So that's why I love golf betting, and I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big NFL guy. NFL and golf are probably my two favorite sports. One, because I'm pretty good at golf, and it's my favorite sport to watch and play and as a hobby. But also, just I'm a sicko, just like most other degenerates in America. I love to bet NFL too. But I agree with you, man. I agree with you. It's a fun sport to bet on because you also have to have discipline, right? Because you could potentially go weeks or months without winning a
Yes.
single bet if you're only doing specifically outrights, or you could get bad beats, which with dead heat stuff like that. But if you get hot, like you said, you've been on a bit of a heater since the U.S. Open this summer. You can make a lot of money quick if you have a couple good weeks. So there's definitely a risk reward type thing in golf. It is a fun sport to bet on, and also with the way sports books are going now, there's so many different things you can bet. You don't only have to bet outrights. If you are somebody who wants to have more juice, you can do matchups. You can do over-unders on birdies, score right there. I mean, you could get lost on any sportsbook app just betting golf in general nowadays. But you specifically, I think, do outrights and first-round leaders.
Yeah.
You just hit Hideki last week. Did you have him first-round leader? I didn't watch
did,
Thursday,
yeah.
Friday. It was
So I that's really all I bet, and like I know you brought up matchups. Like I
Yeah,
suck at round matchups, like genuinely
yeah,
terrible. Like tournament matchups, like I'm terrible. Like I know golf well, but for whatever reason,
yeah,
matchups I'm just terrible at. And like sometimes I like hang out with my boys on like a Friday night, and they're like, "Yo, let's like make a parlay for tomorrow." I'm like, "All right, like we can go through it." And he's like, dude, we
yeah.
went like 0 for 7, but like you literally hit an outright like every week. I feel like, how is that possible? I'm like, dude, it's golf is so volatile, but like
Yeah,
round to round, who's gonna play better than who is like an absolute coin flip. So I
Yeah.
really just stick to outrights and first round leaders. And
Yeah.
I kind of have gone back and forth on my first round leader strategy a lot. Like sometimes I just bet like AM guys, sometimes I just like bet losers. But I
Yeah.
found that the most profitable strategy for me is just to bet my outrights first round leader, because
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times with first round leaders, you kind of like want a guy that you think is a good course fit but might not win, like a loser kind of, like a Tommy Fleetwood
Yeah.
or like Cam Young or something. But I
Yeah.
think that you don't want to admit the guys you bet outright like could
Yeah.
be losers that don't win. Like if you like
Yeah.
someone enough to bet them outright and you think it's a good course fit, like they could start hot and be first round leader. So I
Yeah.
literally pick whatever, depending on the odds, 5, 6 guys a week, maybe, some weeks just bet one guy or something and just bet
Yeah.
him outright, bet him first round leader and just have that exposure to, 30 to
Yeah.
40 to 1 odds.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you have been on heater since the U.S. Open. How many outrights? How many first round leaders have you hit
I
since
think
then?
it's 2 first round leaders and 4 or 5 outrights since Bryson. And obviously, the U.S. Open was great. I had a dual forecast with Rory and Bryson
Yeah.
together, so that was huge. That was like a multiple outright. But yeah, it's been good. But like obviously, like you said, like with the bad beats and everything, like you always feel like you should have way more.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of runner ups, like everyone does. Like it's nothing
Yeah.
special. But had a lot of close calls this year, a lot of runner ups, and those
Yeah.
obviously hurt. But you don't think like, oh, that worked out for me when you do win. You're like, that should have
Yeah.
happened. Where it obviously could have went the other way.
Yeah, yeah. I had a really good Masters. I won. I had Scotty, obviously,
Yeah.
and I had a big position on Scotty. And then I had a few tournament matchups. I've been getting crushed since. I think 1 week on Live, I hit the second, third, and fourth place guy without hitting the first place guy. That one was tough to swallow. It's just like you said, it's a super volatile sport, and only one guy can win, right? Only one guy wins every
Yeah.
week. I mean, obviously, if you only do outrights or top fives, top tens, like I said, you can bet anything in golf. But it is, like you said, it is an extremely volatile sport to bet. But that's why we love it, right? I mean, there's a sweat on Sunday. Like I'm sure you were sweating Hideki yesterday. It looked like he was going to cruise, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden, in 4 holes, he goes from 4 ahead to 1 back, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how you were cruising, and all of a sudden. But before we get into that, I'm curious. As somebody who was holding a Hideki, I didn't put a bet in. I'm saving my bets for football season. But as someone who was holding a Hideki ticket, how did you feel yesterday morning when you saw him experimenting with other putters in the putting green yesterday? Were you just like, what the fuck were you doing?
I didn't think he was gonna change putters. Like I didn't really care at that point. I was like, he's played so well during the week. Like, yeah, I try not like react to that like type of
Yeah,
stuff. Like I didn't even know that his caddy wasn't even on the bag when I bet him.
yeah,
I was in Saratoga last week, so I didn't really like do my
yeah,
full prep, and I put my card in. A bunch of people were like, I'm like worried about the caddy. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like I'm
yeah.
not gonna cash out a bet because the caddy's not on the bag or he doesn't have a coach. Like
Right.
I really try and not worry about that stuff. But yeah, if he walked out with a new putter, it would have just been so ridiculous, and I just
Yeah.
knew that there was no way it was gonna happen.
Yeah, I liked him last week. I talked about it with Ross on Golf on Tap last week. I gave out Hideki as a name that I like, just specifically for course fit. He's a guy who's been playing well. It's a ball striker's course. You don't have to putt super well. You look at some of the winners there. And so I had no idea he didn't have a caddy on the bag. Like I said, I didn't have a ticket on him. I just liked him just to give out picks. But yeah, I had no idea he didn't have a caddy until like Saturday. Like I mean, I was on a bachelor party, so I didn't watch a ton of golf until Sunday anyway. But that was wild to me. I didn't have his original caddy. And then I saw the putter, and I was like, well, that's wild that you could be up 5 and just decide to change putters. But I digress. He ended up getting it done after, going that 4-over stretch. He played 17. I mean, he made a really good birdie on 17. And then those 2 shots he hit into 18. I mean, that tee shot had to have been a little nerve-wracking for you when you saw it getting close to the water. But once you got that straight bounce, for him from 160.
Did you see his drive on 17?
Yeah.
I thought he
duck
literally
hook,
duck hooked it. Like
I
it
know.
looked so bad.
I know.
Like it was obviously in the rough. Like it was like in the first cut. It wasn't that bad. But off the tee with the shot truck,
I know,
it literally
looked
like it, and I was like, oh, he just completely lost it. And I'm like, oh, he actually has a decent angle from here.
Yeah.
Um,
And
But yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, I know. And that was after I think Hovland had just made bogey on that
Yeah,
exact hole, right? From hitting it way
yeah,
right. And honestly, if you hit it left, that's kind of the side to miss it on from
yeah. But
to
that
that to
rough,
where
if
that
he
flag
was a
was.
foot more left, he wouldn't have won the tournament.
Right,
He
I know
just got
because the
into
way
that.
that
He just got into that first cut and was
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, unbelievable. Obviously, I feel like a lot of times when guys have massive leads and choke, they obviously don't like come back like that. But I
Yeah.
really feel like Decky is he is really one of the most prolific winners on the PGA Tour. Like
Yeah.
10 PGA Tour wins. I know he's had a long career, but like that's a lot, and he's kind of like a perfect outright bet. Not that I bet him outright a lot,
Yeah.
but he's a perfect outright bet because obviously he can miss the cut and be terrible. But I think he's someone that in the mix you can really trust to get it done, and he proved
Yeah.
that even with a little bit of adversity.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And it's funny because you say he's had a long career, but he's still only like what? I mean,
He's probably
in
early
his
30s.
early 30s, but it feels like he's been around forever because he came out so young. I mean, I still remember him playing at Augusta. I went to Augusta, I think in 2011, the year Schwartzel
Yeah,
won. It was the year Rory shot 8. I'm pretty sure that was
when he
his
was
one
low
of his
am.
first Masters.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean he was low
which was
am at the
wild.
Masters.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if it
think
was
that was
that
the year.
year, but
I
it
can't
definitely could
remember.
have been.
But it's wild because he feels so much younger. But yeah, like you said, 10 wins now, a major championship, obviously a Masters. He could still rattle off a couple more. I mean, I could definitely see him winning another major. He hits it so well. I think a U.S. Open, like he's got an unreal short game. For him, it's kind of always the putter, right? It
Yeah.
always he's never consistent with the putter, but when he gets hot with the putter, he's like you said, he's somebody you can really trust.
And he has an
And I know
unbelievable U.S. Open record. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure he has.
As always, today's video is brought to you by Core Chiropractic and Performance Center, a local family-owned business here to the Michigan area. Dr. Billy and Dr. Maddie offer a number of different services, from chiropractic to sports performance, injury rehabilitation. Dr. Maddie works with all things women. So their link is going to be in the description, corecpc.com, to schedule your free consultation. Mention the Scratch Golf Show upon arrival to receive a discount on your first appointment. Hope you enjoy the rest of today's match. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. He does.
One of the best U.S. Open records, of anyone over the past 5 years, other than Rory. He just really shows up at the U.S. Opens for whatever reason.
I feel like he's someone who plays hard golf courses really, really well.
Yeah.
He's just somebody who likes to grind, has a really similar to Xander in that aspect, where Xander is somebody who just doesn't have a weak spot. I think Hideki's weak spot is his putting, but his short game is unreal. I still remember one year, I think it was the year he won the Masters. He got up and down from everywhere, and it's insane. Anyway, let's shift from Memphis to BMW this week. Castle Pines BMW Championship. Like you said, we got a couple tournaments to bet on out in Denver, Colorado. I myself have only seen the course one time. It's a relatively newer course. It's weird kind of having a Midwest. I feel like it's either kind of West Coast or East Coast or Central. I feel like there's not a lot of golf played in Mountain Time. Maybe that's just me.
I thought it was Pacific time. I literally just treated it.
No, it's Mountain Time.
What? So it's 2 hours ahead of East Coast?
It's 2 hours ahead of East Coast, which is so interesting, right? Because I feel like we're either in California or somewhere on the East Coast or Texas. Essentially, is the PGA Tour schedule nowadays. But long golf course, I think it plays like 7,800 yards, but at altitude, it's something you're going to hear a ton this week with people, kind of the talking heads around the golf course. The ball flies further in Colorado. The ball flies further in that altitude. So you're going to see some wicked long drives this weekend. I would guesstimate you're going to have a couple, without looking at the golf course ton, it wouldn't shock me if there's multiple 400-yard drives this week, with just how I'm sure the course has been playing firm. Aesthetically, the course looked pretty good. The Good guy shot a video with Wyndham Clark out there. They dropped it last week, so if you want to check out the course, go check out the Good channel. Anyway, let's give out some picks, little course preview, and then, like I said, Mr. BK will let you go. But let's start with the picks, I guess. Have you had a chance to look at the board? And let's start at the bottom. Let's just say 25 to 1 or 30 to 1 and up. What are some names that you're drawing attention from you for this week? For
higher
than
25 or 30 to 1 or lower?
Lower. Sorry, lower. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have kind of just in general, maybe bet a few guys Monday, but I've just kind of been waiting a little bit. A lot of my friends, their cards done at 9 a.m. Eastern on Monday morning. And
Yeah,
like, to me, like, I just want a little bit more information. That
yeah,
I necessarily want to see, like, where the odds move or anything, but like sometimes I just need a little bit of time, and like I've had a little
yeah,
bit more success doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think that kind of like the mid range is definitely, there's some enticing numbers, but I also feel like given the 50-man field, it is tough a little bit. Like just some of these odds are definitely
yeah,
not ideal. Like Victor Hovland 18-1 really stands out to me. I would love to bet Victor Hovland. Like, I do think he's going to play well this week. And
yeah,
I do think that when you look at kind of his results in Memorial and some of his results on other Nicklaus courses like Valhalla, like
yeah,
he's been unbelievable there. But it's a big ask to bet Victor Hovland at 18-1 after like really like one good week. So I like him
yeah,
definitely, but I'm just a little bit worried about the odds. I'm like
yeah.
actually considering betting Xander 7-1 this
Damn.
week, which I never do. But
Yeah,
I just think the way he's been playing right now, last week, it's not a course he plays well on, and he had his best result there. But good Memorial player, won Valhalla, has absolutely zero holes in his game. Easily the most complete player on tour. I trust the ball striking, and he is the
yeah,
best, one of the best putters in the world.
yeah,
And I don't know if you saw this, but I thought it was pretty interesting. Jeff Sherman, who runs Golf Odds, they sent their over under for the score this week,
yeah.
and they set it at 23.5. Um,
Damn.
and they're like pretty good. Like I remember last year they like nailed both the majors. Like I think they were
Yeah,
pretty wrong on like Valhalla, but I trust them. And for them to put it out at 23.5 is pretty surprising
yeah,
to me. And you're gonna have to go very low to
yeah,
even have a chance this week. So I trust them. Like to me this week, like gotta find someone with the super hot putter that you can trust getting to
yeah.
20 under and up.
Yeah, which is wild. 23 and a half. So that's basically averaging 6 under a day. I mean, you cannot have even like a 3 under day where
Yeah.
you miss a few putts, which is wild. It's funny that you say that because Xander, I do like him, right? He's someone you can trust, but for me, like I don't like for golf specifically, I don't like betting guys at 10-1 unless I'm
Yeah.
absolutely 100% confident. Like I know we talked about earlier, Scotty at the Masters was something I never bet, but I think everyone who watched golf kind of knew that
Yeah.
no matter what he was going to win that week. You just kind of have that feeling. But Xander still at 7-1. I think you're still getting some decent value there from a guy. My one concern with him is that for him he seems to. It's not at least I don't know if other than Valhalla he doesn't seem like a guy who is gonna go super deep.
Yeah.
Like he like Brooks to me isn't a guy who's gonna go shoot 26 under and win a golf tournament.
Yeah.
I just maybe that's just how I feel. But I still think I mean, you can't go wrong betting Xander right now. I think for me, if I had to pick between betting Xander and betting Scotty every week, I think at the point in your game, I think or where they're at in their game this year, I think they're very close to the same player, and you're getting Xander at almost two times the money that you are for Scotty. So I do like him in that aspect. I don't like betting guys at 10-1 or under specifically for golf. It's interesting that you said 23 and a half for the over under. Like I said, you can't have an off day out there. It's wild to me that these golf courses are just 7,700 yards and these guys are going to go light
Yeah.
it up for
Yeah. I heard it's
it's
going to play like 74.
yeah,
74, 75 with the elevation. So, I
yeah,
mean, that for a par 72 on the PGA Tour is not that long. Like
yeah,
74 par 72.
for nowadays.
Like
Yeah.
that's not like that crazy. But what are your thoughts on Finau and Wyndham Clark? I feel like those are two pretty popular
I love Wyndham
picks
Clark
this
this
week.
week, and yeah, I love Wyndham Clark. I haven't checked FanDuel since this morning ish in Michigan. I think he was around 40-1 ish last time I looked. I have to pull him up right now.
Yeah, best
I mean,
number
he's
on
a
him right
dead
now is 33-1.
33. Okay, so he has gone down. Maybe he was 35. I can't remember, but I love. I mean, he's a Denver guy. He's a guy. At least when he played the course in the good video. Maybe I'm
What did
just
he
using my
shoot?
like you. I think he shot 4 or 5 under. And I mean, for him, like, playing with the good guys, I don't know how seriously
Who
he was
won
taking
it?
it.
I'm curious.
I think he won. I can't remember. I
Okay.
watched it last week.
Okay.
He was winning, and
But
I
yeah,
honestly don't
four
remember.
4 or 5 under. Yeah, I think that checks out.
Yeah, and like he's a guy who at least is playing well. It looked like he played well in the back nine, and I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts. Like I don't know how much you take from week to week because obviously they're getting on a plane and flying to a completely different part of the country, completely different grass, from a different course, in Memphis. But I do like Finau. I do like Wyndham Clark. It did look like on some of these holes that the fairway does narrow and there is trouble the further down the fairway you get. So I don't know how much of a bomber's paradise it's going to be, given we are going to be in elevation, so you are going to maybe see guys just full send on some of these holes. I don't love Finau. I feel like he's just not playing well right now. There are guys I just try to avoid who I just don't vibe with, and Finau really just doesn't seem like he's been playing well the last few months. But I do like Wyndham Clark this week. I think he's going to be a name I'm gonna watch, and given he's a Denver guy, how about you? How do you feel about those guys?
Yeah, I like Wyndham. If I don't bet Xander, I think I would bet two of them. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I think Wyndham, like, he actually is playing a lot better than I think people give him credit for right now.
yeah,
Like, not even like hometown narrative or anything. Like, I just think it's a pretty good course fit for him, and I could
yeah,
trust him to go super low and win. And he's obviously a great
yeah.
putter, and he's putting really well right now. So I actually
Opposite of
think,
Finau.
yeah. So I do like Wyndham, and I think 33 is like pretty solid. Yeah, Finau is like same number. Basically, I think it's a good course fit on Finau.
Yeah,
Obviously, I remember like 2 years ago. I remember he shot like 60 on in like 8,000,
yeah, in Utah.
like a crazy
Yeah,
course, and he like went unbelievably low. So I mean that is pretty typical Tony Finau, but
yeah,
I think Tony
exactly.
Finau could definitely have a good week. I'm definitely eyeing him if I don't bet on Xander.
So I meant to ask you earlier. You mentioned, so how do you like? Do you have like your own model? Like how do you find your picks? Are
Yeah,
you
I
like
really do not do a model per se. I'm
yeah,
not super into the stats or anything like that.
yeah,
Like I basically, like, how I describe it is I look at like recent form from a strokes gained
yeah,
perspective, like on Data Golf or Fantasy National or whatever. But I'm not making my own model for the course and being
yeah,
like X rates out well in my model, so I'm gonna bet it. Like, I do
yeah,
not do that, and I honestly feel like, not that I do it, but like in the past, I've like tried to find people based on stats, and it doesn't really work. Like, I feel like
yeah,
in just general, if you watch golf every week, like, oh, Jackie played well at the Olympics, like he putted and hit his approach well at the Olympics, and he lost in the playoff here, and this is a course where like good iron players win. Like, that's really it.
yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
don't do a model.
That's kind of where I'm at too. I watch more than most people. I mean, I'm a relatively decent golfer. I mean, I played to a zero, so I kind of know and understand golf from
Yeah,
that perspective. I know how good these guys are from talent perspective. And I'm like you, like I watch golf, like this guy's informed. Like for example, Max Grazerman, right? He was the guy who was hot in Minnesota, hot in whatever Sedgefield. I liked him last week at like 150 to 1 just because he's been playing well. It's like
yeah,
you're getting the guy over triple digits on your money, 100 times your money. And I think he shot like 78 the first day. He ended up shooting
yeah.
63 to get to Denver
Yeah,
anyway. But I'm
I
still
actually like Razorman this week.
this. Me too. Me
He
too.
like he
Me too.
played well at a Corn Ferry event in Colorado, and he like pipes the ball off the tee and can make a ton of
Yeah.
birdies. So I actually think it's a solid play.
How much are you taking into account the elevation this week? Is that something you're factoring in at all,
I
or
mean,
is
I
that just
just
something
think
that
it's
you
like an
think?
even playing field for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, no one like just freaking plays at elevation or something.
Yeah.
So it's really not something that I am super factoring in
Yeah.
this week. Like, I think if you're trying to like bet guys because of certain ball flights at elevation, you're just completely
Yeah.
overthinking it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'm sure there are going to be guys who are selling picks who maybe factor
Yeah.
that in, but that's not me. I'm pretty simple. I don't do this Like I said, I know we just talked about. I don't do this full time. I do this as a hobby.
Yeah.
Like just, if I don't mind if people dunk on my picks. It is what it is. I don't mind, wearing it. But a couple other names that I want to talk about. Rory, what do you make of Rory after whatever 68 last week? Really hasn't done much and been somewhat disappointing really since the US Open. I mean, I know he played well at the Scottish, but terrible Open Championship, terrible last week. Um, I really thought he was going to bounce back after the US Open. It kind of seems like he's just not in form. But what do you think of Rory this week after the
Yeah,
just
I
poor
don't mean to
performance
dunk
last
on
week?
Rory, but it's kind of hilarious that after the US Open, he was like, I'm taking more positives from this US Open than negatives, and like this is gonna be a good thing for him. And I like
Yeah,
genuinely like I think he's just done for the year. Like I think he
yeah,
has literally 0% chance to win this week. Like I think that US Open completely killed him and mentally really hurt him.
yeah,
And I like in 2021 where he had the good year and he won the tour championship, like I don't know, it just felt different. Like he was like having an
yeah,
unbelievable year, like every major he was in it. And now
yeah.
it's just like, yo, like I literally missed like 2 4-footers to win the US Open. Like I think he's lost his game a little bit. Like if he finished like T8 at the US Open and had those 2 results, I'd be more open to it. But I think he
Yeah.
has literally no chance to win this week.
I agree. I think at this point, like he's so far back. Like I know he's like third or fourth wherever he's in the FedEx Cup. But at this point, he's so far back in the standings. He essentially has to win out, right?
Yeah.
Because Scotty and Xander and now Decky are so far ahead of him. I think when he said, I'm thinking about my vacation and the Open Championship, it feels like he was thinking about his off-season vacation. It
Yeah.
just seems like he's kind of checked out. He's got so much fucking money anyway, and I don't mean to question him as a competitor, but like, you know, it's already hard enough for these guys to get up for these events. Like I feel like, I mean, I'm sure some of the guys who are maybe not as established as Rory maybe do get up for these events because they are. You had guys like Matt McNeely last week playing for their getting the signature events, but a guy like Rory, he's going to get in the signature event. He's in the majors. Like these guys don't. Some of these guys just don't care about the FedEx Cup. Like I know you
And
want them to,
The
but
funny thing is, Rory like does. Rory has
I
talked
know,
about and
I
being
know.
like, "Oh, it's like actually really hard to win the FedEx Cup." Everyone's like, "Dude, shut up!" Like
Yeah,
seriously, shut
yeah,
up. But I
yeah,
just think this year it's different. Like I just think the U.S. Open really took a toll on him,
yeah,
and like he just doesn't have his game. And I also think like
yeah,
last week he was just like, "Okay, I'm not going to win. I have 0% chance. Like I'm just going to
yeah.
check out."
He
But
hates that golf
it's
course.
also like hard to play that bad. Like it was actually
Yeah.
one of his like worst performances ever.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at his strokes gained, it was terrible. I mean, it was. I saw somebody tweet. I don't know if it was you or somebody else tweeted
Yeah, I
out,
think
but
it was Rick
I mean,
Anthony.
honestly, I don't blame him. Like, if I'm those guys, like, I think I don't know how you sign up knowing you got to go to Memphis in the middle of fucking August to
Yeah.
play in 117-degree heat. Like, yeah, I know FedEx is there. Like, I hate that golf course. I don't hate the golf course. I think it's a good golf course, but I don't need to see the playoff event there. Like, no one wanted to be there. Like that event, like good for the community of Memphis, but there's nothing around there. It's office parks. Like it's not my favorite event, but I digress. So what about who are some names up the board that you like? Let's say I know we talked about Finau and Wyndham Clark at 33-1. We talked about Grazerman. Is there anyone you like? Let's say 40-1 and up. Obviously, I know it's a limited field, so there's not a ton of names. But is there anyone that's catching your eye in that area who you're thinking about
Yeah, I
adding to the
like
card this week?
Pendrith 80. I think that's a good bet. He's been playing well.
Yeah,
Like he's a bomber. He's a good putter. He's won a birdie
yeah,
pass before. Again, like I think Grazerman 100 solid.
yeah,
I know he's like my buddy bet him. We've been joking about it all morning, but he bet Grazerman like in the without Scotty Xander market at like 50-1,
yeah.
which that could be a good shout. Cole's been playing well. Cam Davis, like those are kind of some longer shot guys
What do you
that I like this week.
What do you think of Akshay this week, and what is he currently at right now?
Yeah, Akshay, best number on him. It's not that good. Best number on Akshay right now is 60-1. So it's nothing crazy. But again, like with the
Yeah,
50-man field, it's just like no one's really like at a crazy number. But yeah, I think Akshay is a pretty good shout. I definitely think he could have peaked earlier this year. But I think it's a solid bet. I mean, he's a great putter, good ball striker. Like I think this could be a solid spot for him.
Yeah, I think it's just somebody who, when I think somebody who consistently going low is not afraid to make a ton of birdies. He comes to mind. 60 to 1, I think you're getting a halfway decent number on him, considering he's playing for the the President's Cup
Yeah.
also. I think that's guys like who are maybe looking for President's Cup points who aren't going to get in on captain's picks or who aren't going to get in on points or maybe looking to improve that status. I agree with you. I think he hasn't looked the same. Did you have him when he was here in Detroit? I
Yeah, I
can't
did.
remember.
No,
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I knew I remember that correctly. It just doesn't seem like he's been playing like
yeah, I
himself
think he
since
might have
then. I mean,
peaked that week. Like that was it.
yeah, yeah.
He had his week and he played well at the Travelers and he played well. Like that might have been it. And I don't know
But
where he is in the FedEx Cup standing right now. I'm curious.
I think
If he's in the
top
top
20.
30. I would assume. I mean, it's really not
Yeah,
like you look at the list and it's like, all right, like they didn't play that well this year. So
yeah.
yeah, no, I think Akshay 60 is solid.
Yeah, and also like he's a guy like who I think he had played a ton of weeks in a row, man. And like
Yeah, he
even
did.
though he's young, like that shit can catch up to you quickly.
Yeah,
It's a
Tom
lot of
Kim
travel on
admitted
the
to it as
body.
well. Like
Yeah,
last week, he's like, it's been a long season. I played 9 weeks in a row. Blah blah. Like, so
yeah.
I do think that is definitely something to consider.
A guy who played well last week and is looking to lock up a spot in Eastlake, Zalatoris. Any interest in him this week?
Yeah, I think his only Corn Ferry win was in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah,
think he's back. I think bad course fit. I mean, I don't think you could get that. I don't think you could go that low. I think last week was a way better course fit. From
yeah.
obviously he won there before, but like I think looking at the minus 23.5, I don't think Zal can win. But I'm sure he can play well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of guys and looking at guys in the FedEx Cup who are looking to play well to get into Eastlake. You'd think you're going to have to finish, those guys in like that 40 to 30 number because, like, for the guys in the top 10, top 15, right, they're probably already in the Eastlake. Most of them are probably already in the majors. But you look at a guy like a Denny McCarthy who now he's not in the majors next year, right? I mean, he doesn't have a win. He's not exempt. Maybe on a world ranking, he'll be there at that point. But top, I'm pretty sure, and I'd have to double check, but getting into Eastlake gets you into all 4 majors, at least 3 or 4, into the players. He's already in all the signature
I
events.
think Eastlake gets you into the Masters. I don't know about
I thought I
PG,
got you into the
but like
first.
PGA and US Open, you're probably gonna get in anyway. But I do not think it would be the Open because if you win on the PGA Tour, you don't get into the Open.
Really?
Yes. If you win on the PGA Tour, you do not automatically get into the Open.
That's wild. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, like Cam Davis wasn't in the Open this year.
What?
Yeah.
He won the Rocket like 3 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
no.
Don't they?
Aaron
Don't
Rai
they
had
do
to like top 10 at
Your boy.
Aaron Rai had
Your
to
boy.
top 10 at the Scottish Open to get into the Open Championship.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I
It's
remember.
very
But he
hard
didn't
to
win.
get- What?
He hadn't won. Cam Davis beat him
Yeah.
in Detroit.
Yeah. But
That's wild.
But he got in by world ranking. Oh no, it was like top 4 finishers. Like
Regardless, I know you. I think it gets you into the U.S. Open because I don't know if you remember. There's a whole Taylor Gooch thing about when they moved it around him. But regardless, there is something to play for. You got guys like Denny McCarthy who's sitting on the 30 bubble. Denny's my guy. I've been riding him all year. No wins yet, but I did have him when he lost to Akshay at Valero. But I'm just thinking of guys like that on longer odds. Just I just am looking for any little edge on guys who are playing well. I mean, all these guys are good, right? Any of these guys can win this week. Really, any of them go out and have a good week. So how many total names are you going to put on your card? You usually go 5, 6. Do you have a set number, or do you just kind of?
I bet like for investment. So I bet a total return of 7x. So if
Okay.
I win, I'm 7xing my money. So that's
Okay.
usually to win 3,500 is around a $550 investment. So
Yeah.
if I'm betting Xander at 7-1, like that will literally be my entire unit allocation. I can't bet anyone else.
Yeah.
But if I bet someone starting at 40-1, I could bet a ton of guys because to fill up that $500 investment, all to win the same amount, I could bet a lot more guys. So I bet 7x every week.
Okay.
That is really how I do it, and like I have a calculator to
Do
figure it
you
out.
do you ever hedge? What's your opinion on
I
hedging in
do
golf?
hedge.
You
I
do
usually
hedge.
do it for like my initial investment for the week. So if I have a $3,500 ticket, I'll hedge. If it's an absolute two-person race and I like it's
Yeah.
up in there, I'll hedge for like 500 about.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
just to get your money back for the week. Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I would never hedge more than that. But just a straight like get your investment back for the week if you have a guy in the mix and it's an absolute two-person race, like
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's always hard to bet in golf, right? You think like a guy like Hideki is 5 ahead. You think, oh well, when's my best opportunity? It's the hardest sport to bet in my opinion
Well,
because, like I
it's
said, well,
also
one
tough
guy's
to hedge because when they're at high, like I'm talking about like hedging like -110. Like that's when I
yeah, yeah.
normally do it. But
Oh, okay,
you
I see what you're
could
saying.
theoretically, like when Xander was way back, bet him like 25-1 mid round.
Yeah,
But my issue with that is that when they're that high odds, you never actually think they're gonna win. So it's a
right,
lot harder to
exactly,
be like, oh, I'm gonna like take off some of my investment to like
right.
bet this when if they're high odds, that's why you don't think they're going to win. Like I vividly remember, like at the Players, like infamously, I had Xander, Harmon, and Clark, like easily the
Yeah,
three top favorites. And
yeah.
Scotty didn't birdie his first three holes, and I vividly remember looking at the odds right before he holed out for eagle, and it was 22-1. Like in that moment, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
I could literally just put $50 on Scotty right now, a small piece, and like I'm good. But in that moment, I'm like, he's not gonna win. Like he didn't birdie his first three
right.
holes, like he's dead. So that's where it's tough to hedge on high numbers because in that moment you don't think they're gonna win. And the only reason I hedge is if I think the other person is gonna win.
Yeah, for sure. Any any other names you like this week? I know, like I said, we already kept you for far too long. Any other names you like this week? Then I got one other question for you. Then I'll let you go, my
Yeah,
friend.
no,
Thank you for
I
joining.
think I like Billy, I like Finau, I like Clark, I like Xander, obviously, and then kind of long shots, like I said, like Cam Davis,
Grazerman.
Grazerman, and Pendrith. Those would be like kind of the guys
Okay.
I like this week.
Okay. And when do you usually tweet out your final cards? Wednesday
Wednesday
night?
morning usually, like
Wednesday morning?
usually like
Okay.
Wednesday before noon. Like last week I was like doing shit, but Wednesday morning is like when I usually
Cool.
tweet it out. I figure.
And your Twitter is just at Brian Kirschner.
It's at Brian Kirschner _
Okay. Make sure you guys follow Brian. He's been doing great work. Like I said, you've heard how many outrights, first round leaders. Usually, like I said, tweet out his card Wednesday morning. Make sure you follow him. Okay, before I let you go, what is your worst beat? It doesn't have to be
No, it
specifically
has to
golf.
be
Like
the
you,
players. Like it
oh,
genuinely,
it is
like
yeah. That's
without a doubt, was the players. Like to have the top three guys on the odds board that day
yeah.
and have them all finish like one back of
Second, third.
Scotty after a shot
yeah.
minus eight in the final round. Like that was easily the worst beat I've ever had. Like nothing would ever, and the fact that it was Scotty, like there
Yeah.
was, and like the night before, I was like, I really should bet $100 at like 11-1, and I just didn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't. So that it was a good learning experience, but not that I genuinely don't care about that shit, but like the
Yeah.
amount of followers and engagement I got from that, like not even hitting just because of like how bad of a
Yeah.
beat it was like more than like I get like when I hit it outright. So that was pretty funny. Like people just like enjoyed seeing me miserable and like having like a great card, but just losing to Scotty shooting -8 in the final round. And then Xander like winning two majors after that just makes it hurt that much more because he couldn't do it at the players. But yeah, without a doubt, worst beat got to be the players. Like other
I
than
feel,
that, like some might miss putt, but it's nothing like
yeah.
that.
Twitter loves taking dances on your grave. I remember Scottish Twitter. That was a whole different
Yeah,
can of worms. Scottish Twitter that day, but
yeah, that was fun.
I digress. Anyway, BK, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Make sure you check out Tap and Birdie. What do you do every Tuesday?
Yeah,
Or
Tuesdays.
when do you go
Yeah,
live?
usually 8
Okay,
p.m. Eastern on Tuesday.
cool. Make sure you guys check that out. Follow Brian on Twitter. Do you have any other socials?
No,
Instagram,
that's really
TikTok.
it. Like really just my Twitter. If you want to follow me, you should be
Cool.
following.
All right, man. Make sure you guys follow BK. Subscribe to my channel. Review us on Spotify if you listen on Spotify. I hope we get some winners this week. Make sure you follow Brian to get his final card Wednesday morning. Brian, thank you so much for joining the Scratch Golf Show, man. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah, good
Go
show.
ahead and cut
Thanks
it
for having
short.
me on.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye.